Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be the second installment of me ranking vocalists in K-pop. Disclaimer, I know I've said this probably a million times now, but I have to mention it or else people will send me hate. I am a classically trained vocalist and I've been singing for many years. This is my critique based on my knowledge and experience as a singer. You are allowed to disagree with me, but please know that my criticism is coming from my own training and experiences, and I'm not ranking these idols as someone who doesn't know anything about singing. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Loona is one of the few vocalists in K-pop with a more classical technique who is actually able to make her voice work for all sorts of different genres. She's extremely versatile, and she's able to switch between different styles of music easily while still maintaining the best qualities of her voice, which is rare for idol singers. Her voice is very powerful, and she uses dynamics better than any idol I've ever seen. She makes the most vocally challenging songs sound easy and effortless. She also has amazing breath control, which is the main reason why her voice is so strong. The only criticism I would give her is that her lower register needs to be developed further. Loona's clearly more comfortable in her higher register, and she hits high notes flawlessly. But part of what makes a good singer is having both parts of your voice fully developed. Other than that, she's an amazing vocalist and one of the best singers SM has produced. I could literally listen to her sing forever. Jeongyeon is another idol that I'm willing to bet has been classically trained. She has a strong vibrato, and her voice is very powerful. Out of all of the members of Twice, she has the best control over her voice, and you'll rarely ever catch her making mistakes or being pitchy. In my opinion, she's the best vocalist in Twice, and I would make the argument that she should have a position as main vocalist, but I think the reason she isn't is because she lacks versatility. I also think this plays into why she doesn't get nearly as many lines as she should for a lead vocalist. Jeongyeon's voice doesn't really fit Twice's concept, and her voice is the least cutesy sounding out of all of the members. I think that Jeongyeon needs to focus on versatility the most. Her voice is beautiful, but she tends to be pretty rigid in her style of singing, and I feel that she could be an even better vocalist if she was more quote-unquote flexible. I also think she should work on her use of dynamics, as I think it could help her improve in her versatility. I personally love Kei's vocal color. It's very bright, but I feel that she's one of the few singers I've heard who has a brighter vocal color that sings without sounding whiny or nasally. Her voice is very delicate sounding without being weak or quote-unquote hollow. She maintains a softer vocal color without sounding breathy. In fact, she has a very strong voice. She was literally made for ballads, and if you haven't listened to her solo work, I highly recommend that you do. I will however say that I think Kei should work on her expression. There are times when she sings when she starts piano and then suddenly crescendos even when the song doesn't call for that kind of dynamic. I understand that it's a way to make her singing sound more intense/emotional, but I think it's unnecessary most of the time. I also think that while she has a wide register, that her lower notes can be weak at times. Other than that, I think she's a great vocalist. A lot of people accuse Jin of straining his voice, but I would argue otherwise. I think that in the past he did use to strain, but his technique has improved a lot and he really doesn't strain anymore. Jin's vocal color is naturally pretty nasally and bright, which is why I think a lot of people say that he strains. But that's not the case. That's just the way he sings, and for that reason I think he unfairly gets labeled a bad vocalist. While you may not like his vocal color, his technique is fine. Out of BTS vocal line, I think that Jin has improved the most since their debut, and I personally love his voice. I think that Jin isn't the most versatile vocalist, which is why he tends to get the least amount of lines in the group. Although there are many times where his voice does suit a song and they still give him the least amount of lines. At Big Hit, Make It Make Sense quickly, his voice is unique and I really hope to see more solo work from him in the future. Also, here's a video of me screaming when I saw him perform Epiphany live at my Love Yourself concert. I think Solji is a pretty solid vocalist. She has a universally likable voice, and she usually takes the lead in the chorus of Red Velvet's song. She's also very versatile, and I feel that's part of the reason why she gets close to the same amount of lines that Wendy does. But I think that there's room for improvement in the development of her higher register and her vibrato. Solji's range would imply that she is a mezzo-soprano, but there are many times where she strains to reach notes that should be within her range. I think that her lower notes are absolutely stunning, and she has access to low notes that most mezzos don't. But I think that she should work on improving her higher register. As for her vibrato, I'm not sure if she's forcing it or if it's the way it naturally sounds. But there are times when she sings and her vibrato sounds forced and shaky, but these are relatively minor things. And I think aside from that, Solji is a good vocalist. Doyoung is a true tenor, and that's honestly rare, as most male singers are between baritone and tenor. The only other male idol I can think of who could be described as a true tenor is Jin. His voice, like Solji's, is universally likable, and though I don't stan NCT, I imagine he gets a decent amount of lines. And like K, his voice has a certain delicacy to it without sounding weak. I also see him pulling off ballads very well. His voice honestly reminds me of Chen from EXO's voice, as their vocal color is very similar. The only criticism I would give him is that his lower register could use some work, as those notes tend to be sort of weak. But other than that, I think he's a good vocalist. I feel like the style of music IU sings doesn't showcase what a good vocalist she is. Her voice is very agile and powerful. Her vocal color can be very bright. But I feel like because she tends to sing slower and softer songs, it's not really noticeable. Also, I'm pretty sure this is a stylistic choice, but when she sings slower songs her voice tends to get very whispery and hollow. I personally don't like this, as it makes her voice sound weak, despite the fact that she's a strong vocalist. But despite that, I really like IU's voice, and I hope that in the future she starts to release more music that showcases what she's truly capable of. One song that I think really showcases her vocals is Ending Scene. Another vocalist I'm willing to bet was classically trained at one point. Her voice is very powerful and mature, and I'm honestly surprised at the fact that she's a main vocalist. Not because she's a bad singer, but because her vocal color doesn't really fit the sound most K-pop groups strive for. Usually companies tend to make the main vocalist someone with a voice that suits mainstream music. Her voice is similar to Jeongyon's, but unlike JYP, Cube Entertainment actually had enough brain cells to make her a main vocalist and give her the lines that she deserves. I will say that I think her intonation could use some work because at times she can sound kind of pitchy. She should also work on her agility as well. But other than that, I think she's a really great singer and she deserves a lot more hype for her vocals than she receives. She's one of the best in the third generation. Hey, so that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please be respectful in the comments and don't fight. I love you guys and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.